Hey leaders, this is Jeff Garrison from Results on Purpose, and today we're sitting here doing a kind of a long form podcast for me a little bit. I'm here with Steve Welty and Dave Pleman from Good Life Property Management, and we've been spending the day together planning their next 90 days, having a good time, and I wanted you guys are just one of the most fun groups that I work with, and you're unique and you've got a really good story, and I thought it'd be fun to share the story with everybody of Good Life a little bit, and then just have you talk about why do you think it's so successful so fast? You know, what are some of those keys to what's going on? So Steve, you're the founder.
Yeah.
What's Good Life? Good Life Property Management.
So we're out in San Diego, and Good Life Property Management started in 2013, and started with about a team of like 4, I think, at the time. And Dave came on shortly after we started, maybe 6 months after the company started. And you know, I think a big key to our success has been our ability to attract and keep A players. So Dave's had a big part in that. And we've really had an entrepreneurial mindset with our team where everyone runs like kind of like a small business inside of the company. So everyone's expected to not just do their job, but also work on the business. Mm-hmm. And so we've really instilled that we're a results-based company. You know, the sky is the limit as far as what you want to become here. You know, if you are a rock star, there's a position for you. Dave created his own position, basically.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting. I want to ask you about that because the way you spend your time, Steve, is like how most entrepreneurs dream about when they start their business, and many never get there. So share what results do you own? What does everyone expect you to do, and how do you spend your time in the business?
Yeah, so I own the vision of the company, and I own the culture of the company. So culture is very important. So I make sure that if there's issues with people, that I hash those out. I feel like my number one job is to figure out what fires up each person on the team and what are they going after, and helping them get there, whether that has to do with Good Life or not. It could be personally, or there's people that have said like, hey, I plan to be here a couple of years and I'd like to do this after, and I'm like, great, like let's make these 2 years really count. Yeah. And so I think business is really about helping people achieve their dreams, and also achieving dreams for yourself. So those are my big accountabilities, and I get smart people like Dave who can run with the company and the operation. So Dave's a really good how person, and I'm not very good at how, but I'm good at vision, and I'm good at which I always never thought. I was like, is that a cop out, or is that a real position? But no, like companies do need visionaries that can move the company forward, that can motivate people, that can push new ideas. And then you also, when you get an integrator like Dave, who is a really good how person, then the combination is very exciting.
Awesome. Well, so let's talk about Dave. The business, well, if you took Dave out of the business, there would be no business, right? All right, so we got cut off, but here we are, take 2. So the business wouldn't be the business without Dave, right? So let's talk about Dave. Dave, what's your role here? What results do you own at Good Life?
So as the integrator, my job is mostly product development. So I take Steve's vision for the company and I put it into an operational framework and make that dream a reality. So I just kind of use the analogy like if Steve was the owner of a football team and he says, hey, here's our budget for the year, go out and win a Super Bowl. I would be the one that would, drop the plays. I'd hire the players, make sure we have all the right equipment, and then make that happen.
Yeah. So well, he's got the big ideas, and you make them true. All right. So we've talked a lot about people in the past, and people's a huge key. I mean, we're talking about it now. So and y'all have been really successful. getting the right people on the bus, so to speak. It's pretty cliche, but it's so true. It's really 90% or more of a company's success is getting those folks on board. So tell me what it is that you do, or your approach, or the way y'all look at it to be as good as you are at it.
All right, well, I think it's there's several parts to it. One, we try and stay true to who we are in our roadmap, especially our core values. So we hire and fire people by that. We use a people analyzer to make sure that that this person's the right fit for the company. We try and hire only A players. People, mediocrity is okay, I guess, for some people, but we want people that are interested in making an impact and improving themselves. And then when they're in the company, we try and put people in positions and give them tasks that are going to be things that fire them up, and that things that give them excitement, and things that they're going to be good at. As Steve said, when we do our performance reviews, one of the questions we ask is, what don't you like doing here at Good Life? And it may turn out that they may not do this one task, but someone else may like it, or it fits someone else better. So we say, hey, you're actually creating an opportunity, because you won't have to do that. You'll be able to focus on something else, and this other person's going to learn a new skill. And it kind of filters that whole way. And this person realizes, hey, I'm going to add more value to myself because now I know how to do this. And we try and move people up through the company. When I was hired here, there's only 3 employees, and now I'm just below Steve, and I kind of use that as when I talk to other people, hey, you don't have to do this, if it doesn't give you energy, but these are things that you can learn, add value to yourself. You will learn, more ins and outs of the company, and when you could play more roles, know more positions, and it only elevates yourself.
Okay, so that's a really good point, and it's hard to make that happen in a company. And one reason it's hard is that people don't want to be vulnerable in most companies. They don't want to say, I don't like something, or I'm not good at something, right? And the only way to make it work is to have the right kind of culture and the right kind of environment where people can be open and honest about those things, and also trust you to put them in a place where they're going to succeed and not have to worry about failing. So talk more about how you've been able to pull that off.
Yeah, so we, I think it starts from when we first hire people. I like to tell them, you can become anything here. We paint the vision for the future. So we're a purpose-driven company, life improved. We have a roadmap of where we're going, so people see that we're actually taking them somewhere. I think that's the biggest thing people should look at when they're at a job, is not what I'm getting, but what am I becoming at this job? And people actually become something here. So that's one thing. I think the vulnerability thing is a really important point that you point out, and I've never really thought about that much, but I try to lead and be vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable as a leader, it gives people permission to also be vulnerable. And I've heard people say, well, as CEO, you can't say oh, I don't know, you can't act like you don't know. I routinely tell people I don't know what to do here, so, but I also don't stand for, it eats me up alive if there's talking behind people's backs, or oh, this person's not doing this, or this person is. I pull them into the room, or Dave does now usually, and we just hash it out. And then I love our quarterly check-ins, because there's usually 1 or 2 things that are still lingering that I can be okay, we need to bring this up, and we need to bring this up, and we usually just hit it straight up, and that's why we don't have people issues, because there's really not. We had to let someone go recently, but we identified that as a team that wasn't a good fit. We let him go, gave him a severance, said you're a great person, it's just not the right, what we're looking for, not the right person for what we're looking for, wish you well, and it ended on really good terms, and everyone got energized, because the best way you can keep A players is to surround them with other A players.
Absolutely. And I love the way you put it when you said, I don't tolerate this or that, and that's again one of those keys to success. And what hurts a lot of businesses is because they don't put that post in the ground about, I won't tolerate this, or I won't tolerate that. Mediocrity levels of failure, or certainly the culture stuff, and hitting it head on is the only way to do it. We talk about giving people feedback as soon as they deserve it, whether it's positive or negative.
Right.
Give them feedback as soon as they deserve it.
Totally.
So that people stuff, that's been a huge part of your success, but I know it's not been all successes along the way. There's been some things that haven't worked out, but I know from your perspective, the way you guys look at it is those failures are just the way to become successful. You fail your way to success. So share with us, what one of those big failures or lessons learned that you've picked up along the way.
So we tried to put people in positions that weren't suited for them is one big learning lesson, and how we got around that is we actually spent a lot of time. People laugh actually at the office because I'm always sending them some new personality tests to take, and it can get overkill. But we actually understand each other really well, and what lights each other up, and what we're not good at, and what we're uniquely good at. So we even made little baseball cards that have everyone's kind of stats about their disc and their Colby and whatnot. And so we've tried to give process work to people that have no skill at processes, and just probably giving things to people that didn't fit their profile was a big learning lesson. And now we're all very clear about what type of work goes to what type of person.
Excellent. Yeah. Dave?
Yeah, I think having the new structure of the meetings ever since bringing the roadmap. When we have these new ideas, we have people on the leadership team like Steve and Adam who are the activators, the quick start type people that want to chase these things, and then we run it through the filters, is this really going to get us to where we want to go? And sometimes we kind of deviate from that, and then we spend a lot of time on it, and then when we look back at it in a year, we didn't really get the result that we were expecting, or we never really outlined what the result should look like when it was done. So I think having, especially these quarterly planning sessions, and then even after this, tomorrow when we go through the deliverable evaluation tool, we can really get better focus and clarity on what we want and what we expect, when we meet back here in 3 months.
Excellent. Well, I thank you guys for spending a little extra time with me today. We've already spent nearly 8 hours together as usual, and it's exhausting, and people have had to build their stamina to make it through our day, but this has been fun, and I thought it would be interesting to share your story and share some of the reasons for success with other people. And
well, you've been a big reason too, Jeff. Everything you've done to help us install all this stuff. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
Big appreciative.
When Steve said he was going to bring on an implementer, my first thing was, well, how much does that cost?
Yeah, sure.
And immediately the first day, after you left, the next day, we were like, wow, how have we been doing this without that, and having that guidance? We think we have it figured out. And then you bring in, Jeff or someone that's, is thinking outside of the box or not involved in the processes, and to see it that way and keep us on track, it's basically been invaluable, and it's been a huge part of our success this last couple of years.
Well, great. I appreciate it. And I got to tell you, what I love is when I hear you guys ask, what's the result we want from this?
We're using all your keywords.
Right on. Yeah. So that's great. Well, we'll see you in 3 months.
All right,
so
cool.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice plug, Steve.
Yeah, buddy. Put that plug in there.